Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
Today we're trying to get our heads around a threat that is just moving way too fast. I mean, faster than any legal system on the planet.
We're talking about deepfakes.
Exactly. And this isn't, just bad Photoshop anymore. We're talking about AI-generated audio, video, images so perfect they're being used for massive financial fraud.
And they're systematically just wrecking people's personal security and their reputations.
So the fundamental problem is this, right? How do you protect what is basically your most valuable asset? Your face, your voice, your own body.
When the technology exists to just clone it instantly and without your permission.
So our mission today is to dig into a really radical, almost preemptive response that's coming out of Denmark.
They're trying to rewire the entire foundation of digital rights.
Yeah, by amending copyright law. The idea is to grant every single citizen intellectual property rights over their own, quote, digital self.
It's an idea that could genuinely be a blueprint for the rest of the world.
And the urgency here, it isn't some future problem. It's happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. We are in a regulatory crisis. The traditional legal tools, things like defamation or, privacy laws, they're failing.
They're just too slow.
They're too slow. They were designed for a world where you had to prove harm after the fact. It could take months, years in court. Deepfake attacks. They happen in an instant. They go global before a lawyer can even get the paperwork filed.
So what Denmark is proposing is it's revolutionary because it just fundamentally shifts the burden.
It does. It moves identity protection from that reactive world of privacy law into the proactive, protective world of property law. They're basically declaring that your likeness isn't just something to be, protected from harm.
It's an asset.
It's a copyright-protected asset that you own.
That distinction, privacy versus property, I think that's so critical. But before we get into the legal architecture, we really need to understand the scale of the threat. Because when we say deepfakes, we mean content created using deep learning AI. And now it's generative.
Right. It's not just about, swapping a face on an existing video anymore. It's about creating a whole new, completely convincing reality from scratch.
And the ease of use that's the killer.
The barrier to entry has just evaporated. These generative AI tools are everywhere now. They have easy-to-use interfaces. You don't need to know how to code. You don't need huge data sets.
All you need is a few photos.
A handful of images, a few seconds of someone's voice, and the AI can replicate them with, frankly, alarming accuracy.
And that immediate high-fidelity threat has, real human consequences.
It does.
Let's talk about the story of Marie Watson. She's a 28-year-old Danish video game live streamer. In 2021, she found an image of herself circulating online.
Right. It was from a holiday photo she'd posted herself on Instagram.
But the AI had digitally removed her clothing. She'd been deepfaked to look naked.
The violation there is profound, and the speed that it spreads is terrifying. She actually described her reaction. She said, "It overwhelmed me so much, I just started bursting out in tears."
And this wasn't some sophisticated targeted attack.
Not at all. She found you could just Google deepfake generator, and you're, instantly sent to tools that make this shockingly simple to do.
The emotional toll is it's unbearable. But the financial side is equally staggering, and it's accelerating.
The data really does speak for itself. There was a report from Resemble.ai from Q2 2025, and it showed deepfake attacks are doubling every 6 months.
Doubling?
Every 6 months. And that doubling, it translates into nearly $350 million in direct financial losses.
Wow.
And that's just in that one report. The most horrifying example has to be the UK engineering firm, Arup.
The Arup case, yeah.
Criminals stole $25 million. They did it by using an AI-generated clone of a senior manager's voice and image during a video conference call.
Just think about that for a second. The finance employee was looking at their screen, listening to what they thought was a trusted colleague.
A senior manager, yeah.
And was completely duped by an AI replica. It just fundamentally shatters who you can trust on a video call.
Yeah.
If I can't trust the face and voice of my own bot.
What's left? What is left of digital security?
And it's the same legal vacuum in the creative world. Take the Danish voice actor David Bates, and he's the iconic voice of Agent 47 in the Hitman games.
And all those Lego ads here.
Right. When AI clones of his voice started popping up online, his Rights Alliance tried to get them taken down.
They tried to mandate takedowns from the platforms.
And what was the response from the platforms?
They just asked, very simply, okay, but which regulation are you referring to?
Bro,
The alliance couldn't point to a single Danish law that said you had to remove an unauthorized likeness, even for a professional actor whose entire livelihood is his voice.
So the platforms had no legal obligation.
And the content stayed up. That case just perfectly sums up the reality right now.
Individual dignity, gone. Massive financial fraud. Creative rights violated.
All with no clear, enforceable law to point to. It's exactly what the AI expert Henry Ader said. He said the only sure way to protect yourself right now is to try to scrub yourself from the internet entirely.
Which is, of course, completely impossible.
Utterly impractical.
So this cascade of failures created a legal vacuum, and that is what spurred Copenhagen into action. Let's pivot now to the solution. This was announced by the culture minister, Jacob Engel-Schmidt.
Okay.
They're taking your identity, your face, voice, body, and defining it as intellectual property, giving it the same protection as copyright.
And this is such a radical and honestly a brilliant approach. It solves that core problem of legal standing.
How so?
Well, with privacy law, you often have to prove harm. You have to prove malice to win a case. But copyright law is about ownership and infringement.
Right.
If someone uses your copyrighted material, your song, your book, or in this case, your face, without permission, it's just illegal, period, regardless of their intent.
It gives you preventative power.
Exactly. The ability to seek an immediate injunction. So it's not about punishing bad behavior after the fact. It's about establishing clear property rights from the start.
And the law gives citizens 3 fundamental rights. The first one is maybe the most immediate protection, the right of removal.
Correct. The right of removal means if AI-generated content uses your likeness, you can demand it's taken down. Immediately.
And the key is, you don't have to prove anything else.
That's the key. You don't have to prove the creator wanted to defame you or that it was sexual exploitation. The unauthorized use of your likeness, your property, is the violation itself. It's an instant legal hammer.
Okay, then the second right deals with restitution, the right to compensation for damage.
And this really lowers the bar for victims. You have the right to claim damages even if you can't prove it hurt your reputation or cost you money.
So the simple fact that they use your likeness is enough.
The infringement on your copyright-protected asset is what merits compensation. This is so important for the average person whose likeness could just be scraped and used in some, benign-seeming advertising or to train an AI model.
And then there's the third piece, which is really the teeth of the law, platform liability.
This is what compels compliance.
Online platforms, hosting providers, they face severe financial fines if they don't respond quickly to these takedown notices.
And given what we just talked about with David Bateson, where the platforms just shrugged?
Yeah, they asked for a rule and there wasn't one. How confident are they that this will actually make, a YouTube or a Meta act quickly in Denmark?
They seem very confident. The fines are designed to be punitive, and the political will behind this is immense.
Okay.
Minister Engel-Schmidt made it really clear. If platforms don't comply, they are ready to escalate this.
What's that mean, escalate?
They could forward it to the European Commission as a violation of digital standards, and that could lead to even bigger consequences across the entire EU. They are not asking nicely anymore. They are demanding accountability.
That makes the legal significance of this truly groundbreaking. It's affirming that your digital self belongs to you, full stop.
But it requires a whole shift in how we think about ownership.
Right. So does this also affect, say, just a normal photo someone takes of you, an organic photo?
It does, and that's a really nuanced part of it. Historically, the photographer owned the copyright to the photo they took. This new framework suggests that while the photographer might still own that specific image, the copyright to the subject's likeness within that image, that now belongs to the individual.
So my face is my property, no matter who takes the picture.
Exactly. It affirms that your digital self isn't owned by the algorithm that copies it or the person who took the source photo. It's yours.
So what's the status of this? It sounds like it's moving fast.
Very fast. The bill has huge, broad cross-party support. We're talking 9 out of 10 members of parliament are backing it.
Oh, okay.
It went through public consultation over the summer of 2025. A vote is expected in the autumn, and if it's approved, it should come into force late 2025 or early 2026.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little to the global context, because what Denmark is doing feels much broader than what we've seen in other places.
It is.
In the U.S., you have the Take It Down Act, but that focuses very heavily on non-consensual intimate images. Deepfakes, yes, but in a specific context. South Korea did something similar, right?
Okay.
Harsher penalties for deepfake porn.
Correct. And here in Europe, we have the Digital Services Act, the DSA. It puts a lot of obligations on platforms to handle illegal content and systemic risks.
But the DSA is broad. It's about all kinds of content.
It is. Denmark's law is unique because it establishes this fundamental preemptive property right. It's about your basic likeness for all citizens. It's an overarching ban on unauthorized digital imitation, period.
So it works alongside the DSA.
Exactly. It gives the DSA something specific to enforce. It gives platforms a clear copyright infringement they have to act on, instead of them having to interpret vague content guidelines.
Okay, this sounds powerful, but it immediately brings up the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Free speech.
The big one, yeah.
The law has to allow for parody, for satire, political commentary, especially for public figures. How do they draw that line between protected speech and illegal imitation?
That is the crucial and, as you say, potentially very sticky legal tightrope they have to walk.
I can imagine.
The legislation has to carve out really clear exemptions. If you're a public figure, you have to be able to withstand parody. But if a digital likeness is used to, say, generate fake political statements or mislead the public,
Then it crosses a line.
that clearly crosses a line. But defining intent and context, that is going to be a heavy lift for the courts.
And what about the burden on the platforms themselves? You mentioned they'll be inundated with requests.
Oh, for sure.
Isn't there a risk this could be weaponized? You know, people trying to get legitimate criticism or parody taken down by filing a false claim.
Absolutely. That platform burden is massive. They'll have to build robust, transparent systems to process these claims quickly, but also have a way to challenge frivolous or weaponized takedowns. The fear is always over censorship.
So they have to invest a lot in the tech to manage this.
A huge amount. They need smart, impartial systems that can tell the difference between a malicious clone and a protected piece of commentary.
And even with the strongest law in Denmark, if the person creating the deepfake is in, I don't know, another country.
Enforcement becomes an international problem instantly. Deepfakes don't respect borders, which is why success really hinges on international cooperation. Denmark will need support from, unified patent courts, the U.S. Senate. They need these takedown demands to stick globally.
What I find fascinating is the political ambition here. Denmark holds a rotating presidency of the Council of the EU.
And they plan to use it.
They're going to promote this model.
It's a huge political statement. They're basically signaling to Brussels and the rest of the EU, this is the gold standard for the AI age. By framing identity as a property right, an economic right, they make its misuse a clear infringement.
It's a clear signal that digital rights are fundamental to modern government.
Exactly.
So to wrap this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? Denmark is pioneering this really revolutionary idea that in the age of AI, your face, your voice, your body, they aren't just personal attributes anymore.
They're quantifiable digital assets.
Protected under intellectual property law, and it forces the big tech platforms to finally bear the burden of that protection.
This proactive shift, it solidifies that essential principle. Each person owns their own digital self. It is probably the most meaningful legal firewall we've seen, built against the kind of manipulation and exploitation that happens when cloning a person becomes, well, trivially easy and frighteningly real.
And here's a final thought for you to take away. The Danish law isn't just about the living. It outlines that these property rights could extend for 50 years after an artist's death. So just consider what that means for your own digital replica, your synthetic likeness, to have legal rights that outlast your physical life. In a future that's going to be defined by AI agents and synthetic media, we have to start asking ourselves, will the economic and cultural value of your digital likeness one day surpass the value of your original organic self?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.